and it's really good.
It's a classic.
It's like the gay awakening of books. Hello! Welcome back to the space on the internet. I am Elle.
And I am Lau.
And we are going to be telling you about a few queer books, because we're queer and we like books.
This is Reading the Rainbow! Shoo! A new series that we hope to start, where we read all sorts of queer books from across the rainbow, and we tell you which ones are worth your time, and why.
And we'll also be sort of investigating our personal ties with these books as it relates to our queerness.
Because this is our YouTube channel, and we want to.
So we'll be sharing this stack of books with you. These are just a few. We have lots more for you in the future, so if you like it, tell us, because we will make more. And we'll be telling you a little bit about the book, what we think about the book personally, and then we'll give like an arbitrary rating in stars like they do on Goodreads and stuff.
But we're allowed 0.5 stars.
Oh, good.
Unlike
Does
Goodreads.
Goodreads not have 0.5s? Oh,
That's why
weird.
I use Storygraph. It has way better statistics. Anyway, we both really like books, and we read a lot of books. I am currently reading this book. This is just the cover. Iron Widow by Ziran J. Zhao. Please forgive my pronunciation of their name, but they're a really good YouTuber and you should watch it. And this book, I can already tell, is a 5 out of 5 stars.
Yeah, I'm reading the third book in a series that we're going to be talking about in this video. It's really good too. It's also queer.
Oh yeah, this book's queer, I forgot to say. Might be coming in a Reading the Rainbow episode soon.
Okay, let's start. Book number 1. Drumroll, please.
Simon versus the Homosapiens Agenda.
A much better title than Love, Simon. They absolutely butchered it for the movie.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, this is, Love, Simon, but the book, and it's really good.
It's a classic.
It's like the gay awakening of books.
I remember Googling gay books, and there was like 10 when I was very young, and this was one of them. And now there's so many.
Yeah, it's become a trend.
Oh no.
So, quick synopsis of the book. It's about a high schooler, I think he's like 16, named Simon, who is a closeted gay guy and lives in like Georgia, I think, where it's like not super progressive, so he's nervous about coming out and doesn't really plan on doing it, but gets like blackmailed, so ends up just doing a bunch of stuff he doesn't really want to do to like avoid his secret getting out. All the while he's communicating via email with another closeted gay human at a school, but he doesn't know the identity of this person.
This I'd say is probably a good read for like being in the closet. I read it in the closet. Kind of. Yeah, I was in the closet to most everyone when I read this book, and it was just when Love, Simon came out, so it was just like, it's a pretty normal, standard read. People won't necessarily think you're gay if you read it, and it's also about someone in the closet, so that's always fun to read somebody who's in your situation. I first read this book in 2018, back before there were a lot of gay YA books, especially like that I knew of that I could find on the internet, and I was like just in the phase of realizing that I was bisexual at the time. This book meant a lot to me, and I kind of used it to come out to Elle, even though she didn't even get it. It kind of went right over her head. It meant a lot to me at the time. I've read it almost every year or more since. It's a very quick read and very good for middle school closeted you. And if you're above middle school and it's too late for that now, heal that inner closeted middle schooler by reading this book.
Yeah, I read it after you got it, because you got it from the bookstore. I was with you. Mm-hmm. We were talking to the guy named Eric at the bookstore that we really loved. We really loved Eric.
Eric, do you remember us? You never say hi anymore.
We fangirled over Eric so hard.
We're kind of awkward.
Anyways, well, you got this book, I was there, and then we came back to Lau's house, and I just started reading it, and couldn't stop reading it. So maybe this should have been your sign if you were using this book to come out to me, that, I was very receptive. And then I was reading it, and I was like, well, damn, now I don't have the book, and I have to go home, so I went and bought the book. And it was really good. I didn't realize I was queer until, 2 years after this, though.
Still, it has a really fond place, I feel like, in our, memory. We used to sign off emails as Blue and Jack.
We did!
So, yeah. Anyway, we weren't dating.
Nah, platonic Blue and Jack.
Platonic Blue and Jack.
It's really, nerdy. Read it. It's sweet.
Oh, yeah, ratings.
Ratings. What do we rate this?
I rated a 4.5 out of 5 stars.
Yeah, I agree with that rating. 4.5 out of 5.
Final rating? 4.5.
Okay, let's move on to the next book. You may have seen this one on Book Talk, apparently.
Yeah.
I didn't even have TikTok when I read it. I just found it online, and I don't know. Red, White, and Royal Blue. It's a book.
It's a popular book. It's a slightly controversial book. Everyone has slightly different opinions on it. So, synopsis of the book.
It's about the first son of America, as in, like, the president's son. His name is Alex, and he wants to be a politician really bad and make changes to the world and be progressive because his mom is the president and she's a major Democrat. So basically this is like an alternative ending to the year Trump got into office, where Trump doesn't get into office and some Democrat lady does instead. Alex goes to England for some reason. I don't even remember why. Why does he go to England?
You'll have to see if you read the book.
He goes to England and meets Prince Henry.
And they're kind of enemies, but they're attractive enemies, and it all goes downhill from there. It's enemies to lovers in this, like, alternate reality where everything is really easy. Like, there aren't really any issues with a gay first son and a gay prince. I mean, there's anxiety, there's secrets, but the fact that they're gay isn't really the issue. It's more of, like, a PR thing. And it's just, like, in this alternate reality where everything is better.
Yeah, everything's more progressive politically.
So, if you don't think that's better, this isn't your channel.
If you like the idea of that and want to just escape from the stupid homophobic world that exists before us, maybe a good book for you. I personally, like, as an aro ace human, found this, like, very sexy for, like, typical YA. I was very surprised.
Yes.
It's like, it's a lot sexier than I was anticipating, especially since I saw a review online that was like, they didn't even, like, elaborate on the sexy stuff. Like, it was just sort of weird. And then that's what I was thinking. I was like, that's fine. And then I read it.
It's like a 3 out of 5 spice at least. So I really liked this book. It was like my 5th favorite book I read in 2021, and I read like 30 books in 2021. I read it over the summer and it was like breath of fresh air to me. Like, it made me so happy to read. It took me a long time to read. For some reason, it's kind of thick, but it's also very fluffy. So I read it when I was camping. It was a good camping book. I was kind of anxious. It was like a little world to go into. I was one of the people that enjoyed going into this little bubble of a world, and I also really liked the characters, and I'm not big on romance, especially the, like, enemies to lovers, but I was actually rooting for this couple to, like, do well. Maybe because it was, like, gay and, like, political, and, like, I was like, this would be really good for the world, even though it's not our world.
Okay, what do I think of it? It's sort of funny because now I'm thinking about it and I'm like, I liked the characters. They were definitely, like, one-dimensional, but that was fine, to be honest, because the whole world is kind of one-dimensional and that it doesn't have any consequences. I really liked the characters and, like, their banter and their relationships. That was good. As for, like, the main romance, I thought it was very, like, fanfiction-y, and it was good in that way. Like, if you are tired of reading fan fiction but want to keep reading fan fiction, this is probably what you want to read. So I didn't really like it. Like, it was just so bad in my brain, but I don't know. There's, like, good elements. Like, read it. I would still recommend you read it, but don't be expecting anything mind-blowing.
It's true. It's not a very literarily...
Okay, it's written in, like,
book.
the weirdest tense, because it's third person, present tense. So it's like, Alex looks to his left, and it's just weird. It's an icky tense.
I think I usually write in that. Okay. Anyway.
I'm sorry.
No, it's not, like, offensive. I just didn't notice. So this book would be good if you want, like, a breath of fresh air, fluffy fan fiction, not realistic read. And also, like I said, it wasn't literarily dense. The writing was still really good. Like, I thought the writing was really good. Like, it was, like, addictive. Like, it, like, pulled me in. I was like, Elle doesn't agree. Now it's time for our ratings.
I would probably rate this, like, a 3 over 5.
So, as I said, this was my 5th favorite book of 2021, and I gotta say I'm a bit of a, like, pushover for rating. My average rating on Goodreads is 4.09 stars, like, out of all the books I've read, but I rated this a 5 stars. So I guess that averages out to 4 stars.
Next book is... I can't even remember the name. Aristotle and Dante discover the secrets of the universe. Yes.
So this is a book primarily about this boy named Ari, short for Aristotle. Aristotle. And his family has been a little bit messed up lately. His dad went to war before he was born, went to Vietnam. It's set in the 80s. So his dad fought in Vietnam and then came home and had a kid with the mom. So he has older siblings from before his dad went off to war, but they're, like, a lot older. His whole life, his dad has been suffering from PTSD, and his whole family is kind of torn up, and his brother went to jail, and he has a lot of, like, internal issues, showing love, showing anxiety, and he meets this boy named Dante at the pool. who's a swimmer. We all really like to swim, so I immediately related to Dante because he loved to swim. And they have a very wholesome little friendship. For a long time, they're just happy friendships, and then eventually Dante goes away for the year. And they write letters back and forth. The next summer, Dante comes back, and their friendship kind of grows, and some interesting things happen.
Okay, this is funny, because I remember about 20% of that synopsis. Like, I do not remember any of these things.
So let's talk about our opinions and, like, our associations with this book.
I'll go first. This was very, like, The Perks of Being a Wallflower to me, except thicker. I really liked The Perks of Being a Wallflower, which, yeah, I like that book. Very similar vibe, probably because it's set in the 80s, I believe. The Perks of Being a Wallflower was as well.
But like family trauma and stuff.
Yeah, family trauma and like a sad character, like, and a similar writing style where it's kind of like, I don't really see the point of this, but we're moseying along. It was very much like that. I did not like this book. I was waiting for something to happen the whole time, and nothing did. Also, a lot of people say that it has like really beautiful prose, and I just was confused because I thought the writing was not fantastic. And then the structure of the book was so weird and confusing and had no point. Like, I got to the end of the book and was like, why was this written? I don't understand what this book is. But yeah, that's my opinion on it. A lot of people really love it. I am not one of them.
So, if you are a fan of this book, I hope you didn't get so mad that you clicked off the video, because it does make me mad, because I love this book. I really enjoyed it, and after I read it, I was like, oh, you need to read it, and I loaned it, and she was like, it's bad. And I was like, I hadn't read it for a while, and I was like, and she gave me reasons, and I was like, those are good reasons. So I thought back, and I was like, maybe it is kind of bad. But last month I read the second book, which came out this year, or last year, I guess. Aristotle and Dante dive into the waters of the world. It's right there. The second book, even thicker. And I just can't deny that I love these books. I think the prose is beautiful. I found that one, like, astonishingly relatable because it was set as somebody who was going through the transition from, like, youth to adulthood. He was graduating, Ari was graduating in that book, and he was discovering a lot of things about life that I'm also thinking about a lot, and a big part of the books are, like, Ari's internal thoughts about things. And
it's angsty.
It's really angsty, but also he's meant to be a bit of a philosopher. Like, he's always thinking, and he's also named after a philosopher.
It wasn't subtle.
He's always thinking. It made me think about a lot of the same things. And so yeah, I really liked both of these books a lot. Short chapters was a really big plus for me.
That's a good thing, I agree. Short chapters.
Short attention span, short chapters make it seem like you're getting a lot more reading done than you actually are. And these books, like, though they look really long, like if you pull that one over, it's like over 500 pages, but it goes really fast because of the short chapters. You can get like a lot read in a short amount of time.
Yeah, I agree, that's good. Ratings?
So I rate this a 4.5 out of 5 stars again.
I would rate this book like 1.5 stars, which frustrates Laurel.
So our average between the two of us is 3 stars.
Last, and definitely not the least, because we actually did save the best for last.
Shoo! The Montague siblings book.
They are amazing! So this is the first one here, The Gentleman's Guide to Vice and Virtue. This is like the sequel. You could read it independently, but they're like better together. It's called The Lady's Guide to Petticoats and Piracy. And then there is a third book that completes like a trilogy called The Nobleman's Guide to Scandals and Shipwrecks, which I am currently reading. That's the book I'm currently reading. And they are all very good.
They're pretty underrated too. Like, you won't find that many people who've read these. But you should become one of the few.
So these books are amazing. We'll start with The Gentleman's Guide to Vice and Virtue. It is about Henry Montague, who is about 18 and going on his grand tour. This takes place in the 1800s in England. So he's going on a tour with his friend Percy around Europe. And him and Percy have some, you know, tension. They're obviously into each other, but they're also like best friends, but like they're both really into each other but just don't see that the other is also into them, and it's really frustrating and awesome. So like best friends to lovers type thing, I guess, but like the best way possible.
Very good romance.
Yeah, very enjoyable romance, and this is coming from an aromantic person. I actually really enjoyed this because you can tell that they were like good for each other and it was a healthy relationship. So Monty, on the concept of being healthy, is not a very healthy person. He's dealing with a lot of trauma from child abuse, and he deals with that through sex and alcohol. He's not doing so great. And then he goes on this tour and it's just sort of like a whole character evolution. There's some like alchemical weirdness and it's kind of magical sort of and very adventuresome and it's just a really good book.
Yeah.
And probably the best writing, in my opinion, that I've ever read. I love the narrative so much and I have not been more in love with characters. Like Monty is my favorite character and Felicity, who is his sister.
Mm-hmm. So, and this is the sequel, The Lady's Guide to Petticoats and Piracy. So in that book on the tour, it's Monty, Percy, and their, Monty's little sister Felicity, who is like a bit of a small role, but is just like a feminist woman who everyone like kind of looks down on because it's set in the 18th century. But it turns out that she's actually been studying on her own to become a doctor. But obviously no one wants her to be a doctor. And so she ends up kind of like helping them a lot, as you can imagine, this like badass feminist doctor with these two like bumbling boys that like are alcoholics. But she's very helpful, and then this is her story. So it still has the characters from that one in it, but not very much. And it's sort of like what happens after that book. So Felicity is, you guessed it, Aro Ace. And I haven't really read any other books that have Aro Ace people in it, but I mean, we have Lovelace somewhere, and I just loved this representation. I'm not even aromantic, but I had all these tabs for just quotes that I found absolutely relatable. She's really relatable. I also maybe want to become a doctor, and like, obviously I don't face the same struggles as her, but it was just like, this book and me.
Yeah.
And she is amazing. They really explore like feminism in this book.
Especially in the medical field, which is just really relevant.
Yeah, it's very relevant for a book set in the 1800s.
But it's also not unhistorically accurate. The author has a degree in history, I believe, as well as in children's fiction. So these books are very historically accurate to my knowledge and very well written in that respect.
Yeah. So relevant, yet historically accurate. You've got all sorts of characters. I really loved how Felicity wasn't judged for her lack of attraction in any way, but also there's another girl who's quite feminine and quite romantic, yeah, and she doesn't get judged for that either.
Like, if you extract from the title Lady's Guide to Petticoats and Piracy, it's contrasting two of the other characters, female characters in the book, that Felicity meets. The first one, Petticoats, being Johanna, who is her very feminine best friend, who loves dresses and parties and her giant dog. And then there's Sim, who is a pirate. Anyways,
they're all badass.
Yeah. These books, both of them, and the third one, all have such a vast, like, spectrum of different sorts of representation, too. I really loved that about them. Like, we have disability representation, particularly in this one. And then we have some religious and POC representation in particular in here.
Mm-hmm. There's POC representation in all of them.
Yeah.
And like it also talks about like racism, sexism, privilege is a big theme in that one. Like talking about your own privilege. It's hard.
Because it comes from the perspective of a very privileged person trying to face that.
Which
you
made
see them do terribly.
Yeah. Which made me really mad at him when I was first reading that book. Like personally, when I first read this book, I really hated Monty for the first, like, 75% of the book, because I was like, he's just so privileged, and he doesn't realize that his sister doesn't get the opportunities as him. He doesn't realize that Percy doesn't get the opportunities as him, because Percy is, like, mixed race. And then he has to face his own privilege, which is, I think, something a lot of us have to do in one way or another, because most of us have some form of privilege.
But yeah, I love these books so much.
Me too. I haven't even read the third one yet.
We'll probably do a full review on this one in particular because it features an aromantic asexual character as the main character. What?
You get to be in her brain.
Felicity is amazing. Okay, our final ratings on these books. I would rate them both 5 stars.
Yeah, me too. I rated them both 5 stars. This was my number 1 book of 2021, and this was my number 3 book of 2021. Right after number 2, which was Thunderhead by Neil Shusterman.
Very good book. Also, the third book has gender fluid representation.
Yeah, we can talk about that. Gender fluid representation coming soon. Also, we can talk about Magnus Chase and we can have Max on. Okay.
We have so many ideas. Anyways.
Yeah, we never said what types of queer these books were. Most of them are just gay.
Percy's gay, apparently, and Monty is bi. He, like, that's very clearly expressed, so good bi representation.
Yeah, except for the fact that he's pretty much a negative stereotype. But, you know, people do fit stereotypes sometimes. And Aro Ace, gay, probably. I think they're all gay. Gay.
Gay.
And Red, White, and Royal Blue is
Gay and bi.
gay and bi. Again.
Yeah.
Also, comment books if you have good gay, specifically YA books that you think we should read and review. We will do that.
Yeah, I want to look for more lesbian or like sapphic type books because there's so many gay men.
Oh, I have so many on my like wish list.
Yeah, I feel like there's so many
Scary
out there,
Girl.
but they don't get the publicity that like
gay men books
do because gay men books appeal to straight girls as well.
Yes,
whereas
that is why.
like it's all publicity, whereas like
yeah, a lot of straight boys don't read books.
Yeah,
and a lot of straight girls do read books, and straight girls want to see guys.
Straight girls like gay guys. That's like.
But
not
lesbian.
This is obviously a generalization, but for marketing purposes, that is very true.
And we're not meaning this in like a weird sexual way, but like it's just true. And like
yeah, straight guys don't want to read about lesbians for the most part, at least not in a wholesome way, in a way that accurately represents lesbians, you know?
I want to read Henny and Ishu's Guide to Fake Dating and She Drives Me Crazy. Some sapphic books I've been meaning to read. Also, I guess this isn't really a sapphic book, but it is a polyamory book, which is very rare. To be honest, especially in YA. Like, YA sci-fi polyamory. I just bought it because I liked the YouTuber, and like, boom! I didn't even know it had polyamory in it. We want to do Loveless.
Yeah, Loveless is like an Arrow Ace icon, apparently. We're in the process of getting that to you.
Anyway, what other books are there? Oh yeah, Song of Achilles.
Right, I haven't read that.
Another gay book that's really popular. Oh yeah, The Toll.
Oh, I just recently read I Wish You All the Best, which is about a non-binary character, so that's there too. I want to read more gender queer related books because I feel like there are not that many that aren't just like binary trans people, which I'd be open to reading those too, but I haven't found very many.
Maybe in like 5 years there will be so many. Like
it'll become the trend.
Yeah, so like 5 years ago, I remember we were like scrolling through gay books and that's how you found this one. And that's, like, we found this because it was, like, really popular gay book, but, like, these were, like, one of, like, 25 YA gay books that existed 5 years ago.
Yeah. I think Love, Simon, like, the movie, was probably a bit of a breakthrough because it popularized the genre a little bit.
Yeah, and so more people did it. But now, there's, like, so many, and I guess some of these are older, but, like, they're really popular now. And
that's really great.
Maybe in 5 years, there'll be so many genderqueer books.
Oh, I can't just imagine how pretty they'd look on a bookshelf.
You should show your bookshelf.
I should show you my bookshelf.
Put a clip of that in the end of this video.
I will show you my bookshelf. Maybe I can put it on the screen, I don't know.
Okay, bookshelf clip coming.
Now. As you can see, it's gay.
I think the gayest thing in my room is me. Thanks for watching.
Yeah, thank you. Comment about books. We love hearing it. We love books. Books, 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 so much books.
Books. Books. And you should also comment your, like, if you're a reader, your, like, book goal of 2022. Like, how many books you're planning to read so that we can be impressed by you. Do you have a book goal of 2022?
Me?
Yeah.
No. I have a goal to wake up most days.
Yeah, okay. That's really relatable, and that's kind of how most of my life is going, but in books, I'm gonna read 30 books. Make more mental health content.
We should. I would do that.
Comment down below mental health video ideas that you want to see. Okay, we've gone on for way too long in this outro.
We are so excited. Okay.
Bye!
Bye! Okay.